A package in the mail, MSX games from Japan. Collecting without fail, those shoot 'em ups, that's the plan. He doesn't just collect them, he also codes them too. Join us and we'll go on electric adventures with you.
Hey YouTube, Electric Adventures here with my monthly update and vlog for August 2019. Yes, the months skipped by quickly. I'll start off as I always do with other pickups. So these are ones that I haven't made a video of. Now I did actually get a few pickups this month, and I have been very busy, so I have a backlog of I've taped some unboxings and got some games with them and some other things, and haven't had the time to put all the footage together, but they're coming. But there are some other items, not very many, but a very good one to start with. As you all know, I'm a big fan of the ColecoVision. It's sort of the console I had when I was growing up. When I was growing up, our very first video game console in our family was a Hanimex Pong machine. So it has Pong games. It also had a couple of little motorbike games where you had to rev the controller to go over jumps, and then there was a big jump one. I have not been able to find one of those. If anybody, I haven't even been able to find the model online. All I know, it was made by Hanimex, and it was white and black, and then had two paddle controllers with it. Anyway, that was our first video game console at home, and then along came the Atari and the Intellivision. Now we couldn't afford to get one of those, but my next door neighbours who I used to help babysit, they had an Intellivision, so that was actually probably the first one of those sort of consoles that I played at home. Atari 2600 I would have played in the stores that I used to hang around with, and then when I was in probably later primary school, early high school, one of my friends got an Atari 2600, and I used to ride about 5 kilometres on my bike to his place after school most days, and we'd play Atari. So I have very big memories of Atari 2600, which is why I collect for it and everything like that. And this whole thing where I got back into collecting was actually started pretty much by that friend when he moved away from the state that I live in, which is Tasmania. And he dropped off his Atari 2600 and all his games and said, you and I used to play with these games when we were kids, and I'm sure you would like to keep them and play with them. And so there you go, Jeff, I blame you for this. But anyway, I started working at a store, just helping pack shelves and things like that, called Let's Play Games, at my local shopping centre. And that was mainly so I could play with the, well, I had lots of board games and war games, but of course they had Atari 2600 and they had a television, and they had some, later on had some computers as well. And then along came the ColecoVision, and I was there helping out at the Christmas time when the ColecoVisions were virtually walking out the door. At the start of the day we get a huge shipment in, we stack all the systems up on every high surface and in the back room, and we'd sell all of those in a day and have to do the whole thing over again. I remember those times well, but even though I was working and everything, I couldn't actually afford to buy one myself straight away, so all I could do was play it in the store. Then after that Christmas I got my Spectravideo 318 computer, and a little after that I got my ColecoVision adapter. So that was an adapter that plugged into the back of the Spectravideo and had a cartridge port and joystick port, and allowed you to play Coleco games on the Spectravideo. And that's sort of where the Coleco became my first main 8-bit console at home. So that was a very long story to introduce you to a book written by a good friend of mine, Oscar Toledo G, and it is the ColecoVision Games Guide. Now there are two different versions of it, a black and white version and a colour version. I got the black and white version. I didn't actually know there was a colour version at the time, but also try not to spend too much money nowadays, and that would have been more expensive. So he goes through all of the original release games for the ColecoVision, and it's actually quite interesting because I haven't seen some of the games in this book. And he has a photo of the box and a picture of the screenshot. Now it's centered around the games released in the US. She's got it in the intro, and he gives a rating on gameplay, graphics, sound, music, rarity, and the year it was released as best as he can determine. He does a nice introduction, which is not just retyping something out of the game manual, and a little bit of trivia about the game as well. So it's actually not badly written. It's split up into sort of publisher sections, like there's a section on Coleco, there's a section on Activision and Atari Soft. They're sort of in alphabetical order by publisher. You know, Oscar has written quite a few games for the ColecoVision himself, so he hasn't done a homebrew one. It'd actually be very interesting to see a homebrew version of this, so highly recommend the book. Available. I'll try and put a link down below for the book. I'll hold that up there for people who want the ISBN number. You can look that up as well. But good quality. It's from a print-on-demand publisher, not Amazon. It's a different one that I hadn't heard of. And he's done a very good job, and I enjoyed reading it. And lament not getting the colour one, but yes, so try not to spend too much money. Next, we're going to... Right, so I have looked after... So I work in IT. I write business software, and also you know, provide technical and network support for a few places as well. It has quietened down over the last few years as I've been unwell. I've concentrated on, you know, working for one person full-time as a normal sort of person, but I've kept around a couple of my old customers because I've looked after them for so long, you know, for 20 plus years, and you can do a lot of that support remote. Well, I visited one of those people that I've been looking after for 20 years, and he'd got himself a new 4K television, and so he bought an Xbox One X, I think it is, which is the one that supports 4K, and he said, Tony, here, you can have my original Xbox. So I've been mainly on the PlayStation side of the fence. I mean, I do have an original Xbox and Xbox 360, but I bought them fairly late, and I've never been really into the Xbox consoles, and I had no intention of buying one of these, but a couple of things have interested me about it. A couple of games, which I'll explain in a second. He also gave me a couple of things to get me started. So there's only actual one Xbox One title, and I believe this is because he's bought the new one of this, but he gave me Forza Motorsport 5, which was the first game I played when I got it plugged in, and I'm very, very impressed. It's actually quite an enjoyable racing game, and I've had a lot of fun. Probably only had the one session before I moved on, which I'll explain in a second. But I really did enjoy playing that, and I will be playing it some more. He's a big Gears of War fan, so he said I have to play Gears of War. So he's got these. He gave me these Xbox 360 Gears of War and Gears of War 2, and he also gave me a copy of Halo 4 for the Xbox 360. Now I got it all hooked up, and I signed up for the introductory program for whatever the Xbox One's online program is, and it only cost me $1 for the first month. And I downloaded the Halo collection, so they're the enhanced versions of the Halo games. Now I've played, I mean, I actually bought an original Xbox late in the day just to play Halo, and I really enjoyed Halo 1 and 2, and then played Halo 3 on the Xbox 360, and then played Halo OSDT, isn't it? And that's sort of where my interest ran out. I do actually have Halo 4 from Xbox 360, and I've started playing it, but I just haven't really gotten back into it. But now playing these remastered editions on the Xbox One, which I, from a Halo fan, I think they've done an excellent job at upscaling them to the new console. And I'm actually playing it on our main lounge room TV, which is actually our 4K TV, but it doesn't matter that the console's not 4K. It's enough of a resolution upgrade to, you know, to keep me happy. And I've actually been, because I've been a bit shall we say, bummed out with modern gaming lately. I just haven't been inspired to sit down and play many modern games, although I have on occasion been continuing to try and play, I think it's Wolfenstein 2 on the PlayStation 4, and it just hasn't been me. I don't know, maybe I just needed a change, but I've actually spent a fair few nights lately, after I've finished doing other things, switching on the Xbox One and playing Halo. And I have, I don't know what actual stage I'm up to, but I've found the heart of Halo, and now the part where you encounter the Flood for the first time, and I've been really enjoying it. So there we go. Electric Adventures has changed sides and it's gone over to Xbox One. Now, I won't necessarily be buying any other games. I might keep that subscription service going till I finish Halo, and maybe while I've got it I might get some other games. I believe you can get the Gears of Wars on it anyway, so you don't pay any, I mean you are paying for the games because it's a subscription service and it's not cheap. So I'm not sure how long I'll keep it, as long as I keep on playing the games. How about that? And if it's useful. But we'll wait and see. Alright, so very much appreciated that, and it was a complete surprise, totally unexpected. Now the next thing is related to a pickup I showed last month, which was a original Mac Classic, but it had a broken shell. So same friend Erin gave me this one, which has had a rather nasty acid leak in it. I'm going to show you this. It looks horrible. The board hasn't been cleaned or anything. Apparently it actually mostly boots up, which is probably further than the board inside the Mac Classic that I've got does. So maybe because it was dropped. So not just the board, I actually have a whole unit here and screen. So I should be able to make one working Mac out of the two, hopefully. And you never know, I might be able to clean up some of that acid damage. It looks pretty nasty though. Acid damage on there. Obviously there's another drive in there. It's a little yellow, but I should be able to clean that. At least it's not broken. So I should be able to make one machine, because the Macs are an area of my retro computer collection that I suppose I could have collected back in the day, but I sort of passed on for space at the time. And I'm still not 100% sure where I'm going to put these, but at least these Mac Classics are very small, and even the Mac LC 1 and 2 that I also got very recently that I haven't had time to play with properly or do videos on, they don't take up a lot of space at the end of the day. And recently, start of spring, I started spring cleaning. That's why you see my pool table on that side over there, because it has a broken leg that I'm working on. And me having a bad back, I can't stand it back up again without somebody helping me. And I probably shouldn't have lent it over by myself. So I have actually cleaned up a lot in here, so it's about time. I've been in winter mode, and when I get into summer I want to turn this area into somewhere that's a little bit more visitor friendly, shall we say. It's either that or probably my wife will kill me. Alright, so another pickup. So we're switching over to movies now. I've actually been forgetting to do this in the pickup. So last month I actually got Captain Marvel, which we watched again and enjoyed. But I mean, I didn't get that this month. So this month I got Avengers Endgame. I'm not going to do any spoilers or anything like that, but I enjoyed this just as much as I did when I watched it in the pictures. I mean, no movie is perfect or anything like that, but I think it's a fitting wind up to the set of movies started with the first Iron Man movie, that then sprung into all of the Avengers movies after that. And of course, it's going to keep going, but they're going to spread out to other characters and things like that, which is really good. The actual Avengers main line, can't continue forever, otherwise it'll become unwieldy. But it was very entertaining, very good movie, and we've watched it twice since we bought it, and it's quite good. It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, I can't imagine how hard it was to fit all of those characters and personalities into into Endgame, and the previous one as well. And yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was entertaining, and I look forward to further Marvel adventures as we spread out to the other ones. I particularly hope that some like Ant-Man get another go. I haven't seen the next Spider-Man movie, by the way, and I have seen the news that Sony are taking Spider-Man back. I'm not too stressed about that. I do like Spider-Man though. But I've got all sorts of things to look forward to in those genres because of Disney's acquisition of Fox. They've got the Fantastic Four and the X-Men, so they can start. They are all Marvel properties by association. It will be great if they're finally able to do a proper Fantastic Four. And Fantastic Four was probably one of the first Marvel superhero comics I actually read back in the day, and it's very sad they haven't been able to do a decent one. Alright, so that's probably enough waffling now. I'm looking at my list down here so I don't forget things. Also during the month, very busy time, so the Tasmanian Museum and Art Gallery, they have an annual event in the winter called Beaker Street. So the whole idea is to get younger people into the museum, and to do that they open it up at night. They have some bars, and they have special cups made out of actual real science beakers with handles on them. I should have one to show you. I don't actually have one here. My friend Aaron, the guy that gave me the Mac Classic, he did most of the organisation for this. Most of the stuff that we actually had there was his. We didn't have a lot of space because this was a test to see how it went. Me not being able to carry anything, I was pretty useless, but I did lend one of my arcade machines and a couple of bits and pieces to pad things out. So, my copy of 007 was playing in the Nintendo 64. And I went along for the 2 nights and helped. And it was good fun, and it was great just talking to people about old computers and things. And the crowd was a little different to something that you would have at PAX or our other convention down here is AICon, which sadly is not being held in the southern part of Tasmania this year, so it's not going to be one of those. So this was a pretty good substitute after missing out that, and I think both Aaron and I, with this small area, I believe we did a good job because we got good feedback. So I might as well give you guys a little bit of a snippet. This is just a couple of pieces of video that I took. It's probably going to be a little scrappy and a little bit repetitive, but this is our little area and what we had set up.
I keep getting stuck on that. I'm so
That's it.
That's my style.
That's enough.
Ready?
Yeah.
No, I missed one again.
So watching guys play, it is an art form to itself. So they just actually had you content players and like just watching the screen of the guys there play is just they know the pattern, they know
No, to hold the camera so my arms will die.
the barrel and certain stuff, these things that are very, very sort of get useful and just go. And also, most people sort of play it and sort of go, I would be this
Be my freaking high school, I would die.
Roll my multiplier now.
Oh, it's a weird combination of detailing. Oh, it's reverse golden style. Like the
I did those old.
Fallen pieces.
the straight button.
Haven't been to school.
And yeah. Better than my schoolwork.
There isn't a graphics are really good. Odd job. Who went cheater? Odd job. Yes. Take that old job.
Oh, that's fine. Me Yeah, you have. But your jump was right to the first.
Oh, we'll just go simple trigger. buy stuff off him. And yes, really? The arcade
Is that sort of like a mirror or
TMAG. That's the last level, and then it loops around and gets harder.
what does tap even stand for?
Now, as you can see, our area was quite small, but we had you know, an example from all of the eras and genres there. Second night, which is the second part of the video, just changed things around to change the spacing a little bit. Unfortunately, the Apple II that we had on the first night, it stayed on the entire night the first night, and then near the end of the night it started making a horrible smell, and it had burnt a capacitor in the power supply had burnt out. We at first thought it was my nice green screen monitor that's for my micro-B that just really suited the Apple II so well. By the way, we had an Oregon Trail on it that first night, and one gentleman sat there for over an hour, and he actually did make it across America and only lost one person, so he was quite pleased with himself. And it was another set of three ladies were playing Oregon Trail, and it started when the magic smoke started to come out. So we had a little bit of a panic and a flap at that stage, and it absolutely stunk to high heavens. Burning capacitors is something that I don't begrudge anybody. Aaron wasn't too distraught because it is only in the power supply and he should be able to fix it. And he actually had a 2GS which he brought along the next day, and we put that there instead. Yeah, it was a nice little display, way smaller than something that happens at Pax Aus or some of the other conventions and things like that. But it was a good tester, and I believe we should be welcome back next year, and they might even give us more space. And we might be able to get a few more things. Our actual original intention was to get my Space Invaders cocktail there because it was an original. So we ended up having to cheat and put I believe a 48-in-1, turn all the games off other than Space Invaders in a vertical cabinet. But that still, it did the trick, and just, you know, people were able to come along and play Space Invaders. We just would have liked it a little bit more original. My Time Pilot cocktail we took instead, and I was unsure, you know, how many people would remember, and because I mean, just because I liked that game back in the day doesn't mean other people do, and it's amazing the number of people who did. And I suppose it's by the fact that I actually have quite a few Time Pilot boards, most of them non-working, from one of the local Arco operators. He must have had it in a few places because quite a few people remembered it, and quite a few people were playing it for quite some time. 007 was a very big hit. Lots of people playing that. We did put on Mario Kart for a little while for some people, but we put it back as soon as that was on for a little while. People came and asked for 007 again. I think it was a Street Fighter cabinet was there. We had a chop lifter, which was a little bit hard for some people, and we had an Atari 2600, a Commodore 64. Just trying to think, there's one other that I'm missing. And a Super Nintendo, a Super Nintendo, and a Sega Genesis as well. Next year it would be nice to have a little bit more space and maybe have a few more computers, and a couple of the other consoles, you know, like a Master System, and some more obscure ones, like, you know, and maybe have a Neo Geo and Atari Jaguar and things like that, just so we represent more of the eras of gaming. We'll see how we go, but it was very nice. I enjoyed myself immensely for those 2 nights. and I was actually quite pleased that I actually managed to survive through the 2 nights as well. Yeah, because once my back's not that good. So off the back of that, and the next thing was already arranged. So in October, I'll be travelling all the way to Melbourne, not very far, but it'll be the first time I've travelled for a little while, to Pax Aus 2019, and I'll be assisting with the retro gaming area. The other things, I will be taking a couple of things out of my collection to help out the guys. The guys already have a fair collection over there. We're going to try and put together a nice classic PC gaming display. So we're collating the list of what we're going to take. That's part of the static display, but obviously the rest of the area has lots of other consoles and computers that people can play on. They'll mostly be spied by the people over there, but I'll see if there's any gaps and I might take something over. The plane that I have booked, I get 2 bags, plus Aaron is actually driving his car over and taking the boat, so he can take a bit of stuff in the back of his car. Looking forward to that. I'm going for all 3 days, plus we'll have all day on the Monday afterwards to hang around in Melbourne and have a bit of a look around. Aaron's apparently going to take me around a few places and go visit some people, and I'm looking forward to catching up to the guys because I haven't actually been to Pax Aus since the very first one. I went to the very first one and I did a talk on writing homebrew games for retro systems that was reasonably well received. I did put in for a talk this time, but I was probably a bit late, and we're going to do a debate on retro versus modern. That would have been fun, but that's okay. I'm there to help out in the retro gaming area, and I'll have lots of fun doing that with the guys, and I'm sure I'll catch up a lot of people. So let me know if you're going to be at Pax Aus, and we'll see if we can, arrange a time to meet either at the event or at one of the drinking sessions afterwards. Very much looking forward to that because I haven't been to anything like that for such a long time, and the local events down here, AICon has been very, very tame up until Aaron and I assisted making it a bit better last year, but then they couldn't get their venue this year, so they've gone up to the north of the states. This wasn't going to happen. Had the TMAG Beaker Street event, which we very much appreciate being part of, and hope to do next year as well. But it's just nice to go to one of these bigger conventions. You get to meet more people, and I like talking to people once it gets started. So if you're at Pax Aus, I'm not sure what t-shirts I'm going to wear yet, but come up and say hello. I'm looking forward to it. Obviously there'll probably be another one of these updates before I actually go, but I thought I'd give people plenty of notice. Now, another thing, I like to give a big shout out push to my friends at Collectavision. They have finally got their version of Sydney Hunter for the Nintendo Switch. Passed all testing at Nintendo, and it's going to be released on I believe the 19th of September, so not very long after this video. I'll put a correction up there if I've got that wrong. And I have a preview code, so I'm not sure how I capture footage off a Nintendo Switch. It is my daughter's and I really played with it, but I'll see how I go, and I'll do my own first gameplay and preview for you guys. Not in this video, I'll make a separate video for doing that. But go, and so it's very expensive to release a physical copy of a game, but if they get enough orders in the online shop version, they can go to a physical release after that. So I'll put a link down below for that as well. So go check it out. It's a very good game. It's been worked on for 4 to 5 years since initial conception, and it's the guys that have worked on it. Now, I haven't actually worked at all on the Switch version, which is why that clear. I work on the old ones for the 8-bit systems, which I'm still working on. Now I have, back to my own development on Sydney Hunter itself, I have actually fixed a couple of bugs in the code, but other than showing the boomerang throwing is a little different, it's probably not really worth showing another video snippet just yet, but hopefully over the next couple of weeks I'll get another release going and do a video update this month as well. About a week ago I released another episode of my Let's Make a Retro Game series, long awaited, and the first one on sound. The next episode is going to specifically cover making sound effects for the game that we're working on, and then the episode after that is going to look at generating music. They're much more complicated now because there are 2 different sound chips in play and the system's being covered, but I'm thoroughly enjoying that. At the same time, when I was playing about with the sound of that, I also just did some tests, conversion of speech and playback on the ColecoVision, ready for my Berserk conversion for the ColecoVision. So I've got it to say chicken, which I'm very pleased about. And yeah, enjoying that. Obviously lots of family things and being very busy, and also working like a lot of you guys out there, but you know, trying to play games as often as I can as well. Alright, that's probably enough waffling for me this month. I hope all you guys out there are enjoying your retro gaming and your modern gaming as well. I'm Electric Adventures. Thanks to all my subscribers. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.